Okay. So now the next problem would be water on both sides with same depth, but when we say same depth you remove your static head and then consider only the that due to the waves, that is the dynamic part. So when the crest is on one side and the trough is on the other side of the wall, then we have already calculated the force due to crest force when the crest is on the wall, that is equal to Fc, which we have already seen as 104, and that plus the trough is below the still water line. Okay. So that will be minus of this. Okay. So then the total force, the net force will be this much. Is that clear? So then of course this will be towards the direction of the crest. Okay. So similarly the net moment will be mc, that is the moment when the crest is on the wall minus the moment when the trough is on the wall. Of course minus of minus becomes plus, so you have 375 kilonewton meter per meter, and so all this Fc, Ft, Mc, Mt are all calculated from the previous problem, that the first problem. So that whatever it is, you need to evaluate the forces for the non-breaking structure, non-breaking waves on a structure which is non-overtopping. So that has formed the base for all other cases or conditions. Now again the same thing, when you have water on both sides but with different depth. So the pressure and moment are calculated by in the usual fashion, P1 minus P2, P2 and then Fc minus Fc1 and Mc minus Mc1. That is, you have this side water depth is different. So now in this case because you have the different water depth, so you have to consider both your static as well as the dynamic part. Is that clear? So the same way whatever we have done, only thing is make sure that you are taking the correct values and correct conditions. So water depth on water on both sides with the different depths, so the condition will be the crest on this side, so maybe you have a higher water depth, okay, and then there is water in this depth in this this side is less than this, so you have a differential water depth and differential pressures and forces acting on the wall. Okay. These conditions may be a bit rare, but still you need to consider when you face such a situation. Okay. Are you clear with this picture? I would just leave some time for you to look at the pressure distributions as indicated in this picture, when the crest is on the wall and when the trough is on the wall. Okay. So you use the same procedures as we have seen on the as in the case of trough, as in the case of crest, you would have a condition when a trough is hitting the wall on either side in different water depths. Okay. So these pictures show the kind of pressure distribution you can anticipate when you have the wall and with the different water depths. So the same criteria has to be followed for all the conditions, and crest on one side and the trough on another side and different water depths. So these are all the different situations you can come across. Okay. And the procedure remains the same, there is no difference in the procedures. Trough on one side and crest on another side, so this is just the reverse. So I am sure that all of you have understood how to deal with the crest when the of on the forces due to non-breaking waves on a vertical wall. So what we have done is we looked at the non-breaking waves, we looked at only the non-breaking waves under this condition. What did we see? We saw the non-overtopping condition. For non-breaking waves acting on non-overtopping walls, you estimated Fc, Mc, Ft and Mt. Okay. So far this is okay, and all our results initially considered water depth on both sides same. Okay, on both sides it is same. Now after this, what did we do? We simply added the static head, I mean static forces and moments, and then said that is the total, which need not have to be done if you are very sure that both sides it is the same water depth. What would matter will be if you have both sides same water depth, it will matter what is the position of crest on one side, what is the position of the trough on the other side. The worst situation will be when a crest is on this side and when a trough is on this side. That is the condition for which you have to evaluate the wave force. So all these things we were looking at for the condition when the water depth is a constant on both sides of the wall. Then what did we do? We inducted a submerged base of height of some value, and then what did we do? We tried to find out how much of the forces are reduced due to the presence of this submerged obstacle, or maybe near at the toe of the structure. This is what we did. This is the wave, and when you have a submerged structure, how much is the force reducing? And the next condition is when you have the wall and when you have the waves overtopping, what is the force? For all these situations we consider only constant water depth on both sides. So that has given us clearly how do we deal with such kind of a problem for evaluation of the forces and moments. Is there any doubt in that? So once we considered, once we took the non-breaking waves, we all these things pertaining to the action of non-breaking waves. Okay. Then finally what did we do? We took a vertical wall wherein on one side you have a particular water depth and another side maybe lesser water depth, and then we looked at how the forces can vary and also the moments. So I think we have completed most of the scenarios that you can come across in dealing with wave forces on vertical wall structures. Now the next one is, so what you should try to do is, I am not going to work out the problem here. So you look at, so I want some values from you people. So give me some data for which you need to work out the problem on your own. So what is the wall height? Do you need the wall height, or you fix the wall height after the forces are evaluated? It can be either case. You have a wall, you need to evaluate the force. The other case is you evaluate the forces and then calculate your YC and then fix your top level of the wall. Is that clear? So I want you to give some of the data based on the lecture whatever you have undergone now. What are all the data you need and what are all the different conditions you can think of? So you can say, because I do not want to tell anything now, you come up, give some values for wave height, no, tell some value, no, 3 meters, wave height is 1 meter, this is oh sorry, wall height how much? Wall height is, you want to give the wall height, you do not want to give the wall height because you are comfortable with non breaking waves, or you are comfortable with breaking, I mean overtopping. It does not matter, no, if it is overtopping you need to calculate only the reduction factor, how does it matter, no. So can you fix the wall height, how much? 8 meters. What is the wave height you can think of? 3 meters, wave period 10 seconds, okay. Then what other information you need? You need the unit weight of sea water, yes, okay, consider unit weight of sea water, and then what other things you need? Water depth is 5 meters, 5 meters water depth, you want to have a wave height of 3 meters, it is possible. What is 0.78 times water depth? 3.9. So this is the reason why I am asking you to give the data. If someone says, sir please consider this water depth as 2 meters, it has happened. So you need to have a feeling for all the magnitudes and also whether this is possible or that is possible. So as per your statement, it should be 5 meters here, and you do have a wave height of 3 meters that can sustain in 5 meters, because the maximum maximum breaking wave height can be 3.8 meters because of this condition, okay. Okay, 0.78 times water depth. So now are these data enough? No, but reflection coefficient, but we have already said it is a vertical wall. The moment I say vertical wall, reflection coefficient is 1, so you use all those relevant nomograms already available. So I want you people to work out for this condition what are the other conditions. So now according to so you have a water depth of 5 meters and let me say 1, 2, 3, 4 okay maybe I will take here okay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you are going to have a wave height of 3 meters, that is the trough can come up to this okay. So this is the wave height. So naturally if you want to design it for your as a non overtopping wall, then it has to be at least say how much, maybe add another 2 meters. So this is the 0.5 meters water depth and you have 1.5 meters. So that means this height will be 6.5. So for sure it has to be certainly more than 6.5 meters. But then what did you understand? When this wall is there you have to calculate this also. So which means it has to definitely be greater than, for sure it has to be greater than 6.5 meters. So maybe we can treat as 0.5 meters as a buffer. So maybe we can have this as at 7 meters. We do not know, after the calculations only you will get. Is that clear? Now with this what other conditions you would look for? In an open ocean you will consider crest, trough, all those things. So now initially you have considered 5 meters. So try to get the FC, MC, F total, MC total and similarly all these things for trough when the trough is there. I am not going to give the answer for all these problems for this problem, but you need to do it on your own and then submit it to me later. Is that clear? So this is the first condition wherein you have to look into the total, because I may consider this height as earth filling. If this is the case, when there is earth on one side, which is quite common, then you have to consider the pressures exerted by the earth on the wall, which need to be resisted by the forces. And this condition I am not covering in this, but this has to be considered when you are dealing with such problems. So now I am removing this. I want to have a, what could be the height? what does the scour protection say? Minimum height for scour could be around, what is the thumb rule for scour to take place? Thumb rule is twice the water depth. So the maximum scour can go even up to 10 meters. This is only a thumb rule, based on a thumb rule. Now I want to have some kind of a protection for scour. What was the kind of guidelines we have? Height of the toe should be 1 to 1.5 meters, and the width of the toe should be around 3 meters. So now I put a height of 1.2 meters maybe to be on safe side. So my submerged height is 1.2 meters. Assume that it is a non-overtopping, again we are dealing only with a non-overtopping. So non-overtopping with a base, repeat the calculations from whatever you have studied. Yeah, then no, can we just change the wave height so that we are dealing with more realistic situation? Because if you have this 3 meter wave height is going to break. So in that case we will change this to 1 meter, and when we change this 1 meter wave height, then again the height of the wall need not be 7 meters, it can be reduced. That is the reason why I am asking you to look at the problem with magnitudes. That is the best way of understanding. Okay. Now you see that suppose if a 3 meters wave height comes, it is likely to break before it reaches the wall, provided the height of the clapot is not going to increase significantly. When you mention 3 meters, 3 meters wave height, that time you consider only 5 meters, but you need to also take care of H naught. How is H naught calculated? No, you look at this value, no. So you look at this problem, you have to calculate your HI by GT square. So HI by GT square, suppose assume that H is equal to 3 meters. HI by GT square is how much? 3 HI, and you are considering 100, that is 10 square. How much is this? How much? 3 into then go into this, it should be somewhere here, right? Now this is point 0.002, this is 0.006, 0.003, it is approximately 0.003, right? Huh? Okay. So 0.003 and your HI by D is how much? HI by D is 0.6. So 0.6 is somewhere here. Point 6 is somewhere here, it is almost close to 0.9, almost close to 0.9. So that is H naught by Hi is approximately 0.9. So H naught will be almost equal to H. Now you understood, right? So you need to calculate all this stuff, and then that is the reason when you work out with the numerical values, then you will understand better. So now you have only 1 meter, let us stop that, and then we proceed to only 1 meter. Then in that case, so what does that say? That says even if you have a base like this protection, still the 3 meters wave height would act on the wall. Am I right? So now this is one situation. Now we have understood this. Now the other situation is, when on this side you can have you may have a reduced water depth, okay. For some reason there may be a rocky strata, I am just this or there is not much of cover anticipated. So in this way you do not have any problem with cover, so no base is seen, so the wave force will be the non-breaking wave force, provided the water depth is slightly maybe around 5 meters itself, not 5 meters, 5 meters means it will get cancelled, okay. Say I will say that maybe it is 4 meters water depth, then in that case I have to consider FT total, FC total. If it is only 5 meters on both sides, only MC and FC is needed, or FT and MT is needed. Is that clear? The other situation is that, what are the other kinds of situation? So again here you consider when the crest is here, this side, trough is this side, so there are different combinations now. So when you have this kind of a situation, now in this case you have to make sure that a trough is here. When the trough is here, there is a reduction of force, it will not be same as that due to non-breaking waves, because you are having a submerged structure. How much is the reduction? That reduction is going to be also dependent on the wave characteristics. All these wave characteristics comes into picture, you understood. So all these combinations need to be worked out when you are really dealing with a problem. Have you understood now how to deal with such a problem? So and also you need to work out, complete all this exercise with the help of a range of wave heights, range of periods, and make sure that the stability is assured for the complete range of wave characteristics you are working in the field. So with this I think we have, and there is another possibility also. You can have a wall wherein on one side of the wall you can have waves breaking because of lesser water depth, on the other side waves are not breaking. Similarly one side of the wall you can have soil, so you need to consider the soil pressure, on the other side you might have breaking pressures or non-breaking, all these combinations are given, and this is a problem which is very frequently need to be handled, and that is the reason we have spent slightly more time, and then you need to calculate now, and then let me have, I want you people to work out the different combinations, whatever we have seen today, different combinations. Any of these combinations will be asked for the examination, okay. Do not assume that only whatever we have seen through the presentation, only those things will be asked in the examination. I am free to ask any kind of question, any kind of, maybe the question carries has some values, and within the first 2 lines itself you might be in a, you might have to say that the problem is wrong. You understand? When I ask you to calculate the forces due to non-breaking waves, giving you a wave height which is likely to break, then you have to clearly say that this wave is going to break, or there are some situations like this. This is just to test how much you have understood the subject. Okay. Is there any other doubt? So we have fairly covered in detail the non-breaking wave forces. Having seen the details on the wave forces on slender piles as well as on large structures, we now move on to wave slamming. Wave slamming is because when due to the sudden immersion of a structure in water when a wave is propagating in that location. So this kind of a sudden, so you expect the impact force, the force will be similar to an impact force, and it is an impact force. The forces on the member will increase due to buoyancy, drag, and as well as virtual inertia. So in addition to these forces predicted by the Morrison equation, there is a kind of a transient peak load on the immersed body. So this it is unlike like a sinusoidal variation, it is some kind of a sudden transient kind of a phenomena, so which needs to be taken into account while designing these members. So cylindrical elements are common in offshore platforms, and hence slamming forces on horizontal tubular members. So that is so these horizontal tubular members only will be having the slam force. So will be due to that is slamming force due to waves need to be estimated, and it is often it is similar to nothing but the velocity dependent drag force. In the case of drag force, you know that the drag force is a function of square of velocities, right. So you need to use that same thing, the slam force will also be similar to a drag force. The resultant slam force on a member is maximum when the axis of the cylinder is parallel to the water surface. Slam force become more important in relation to other loads when, particularly when the Froude number, that is Froude number calculated based on the impact velocity to the member, that is if that exceeds 0.6, then it is extremely important to consider the impact loads or the slamming forces. So we have an empirical relationship to get at the slamming force, and the horizontal members, particularly in the splash zone, will be subjected to such slamming forces, and that is given as similar to what we have seen, the drag force. So you have a slamming force here, that is the only thing which is not known, and slamming coefficient can be approximately said to be equal to 3 to 3.5, okay, 3.6 for tubular members. So with this we have covered forces on small bodies, large size bodies, that is in the diffraction regime. So we have seen the linear diffraction method, I mean linear diffraction theory, and then we went on we also examined the Froude-Craylow forces, and now the slamming forces, and we have considered the most common types of structures, that is horizontal members, inclined members, as well as the vertical members. So this wave forces on members, wave forces on structure is still a grey area where a lot of work need to be done, and research is in progress, and some of the lectures, most of the lectures are available in many of the textbooks that are in fact many of them are also, you can find it as e-books. So I am sure that the students will get full benefit out of this video lecture.